Welcome back, everybody, to Dungeon Brew. John and I are starting a new series looking at thieves' guilds. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Dungeon Brew.
Welcome back, everybody, to Dungeon Brew. John and I are starting to talk about factions. If you are a GM, you know that running factions within the course of gameplay can be a very challenging yet exciting experience. And John and I kind of wanted to start diving into talking about these a little bit and helping GMs have the resources and have the information they need to run a smooth sailing faction. And for most GMs, at least in my opinion, they usually start with thieves guilds. It's one of the most challenging ones, but also one of the most exciting ones to run. We see it in every narrative, I think, of every game that I ever play. There's always a not going to drop an F-bomb thieves guild. And so let's go ahead and start getting into this a little bit, John. This is our intro video, of course. So what are we going to expect from this series?
Like I said, thieves guilds are prevalent and they permeate every aspect of D&D. It's a huge thing that at some point your adventuring party, the DM is going to put a thieves guild in their way, or you're going to have a thief in the party or a rogue, sorry. That's never going to change. Just expect that. So, but you're going to have a rogue in the party, and the rogue wants to engage with the thieves guild in some way, whether that's because they owe dues to the guild, or they're trying to get rid of illegal goods, or they're trying to purchase something, or they want information. Whatever it is, the thieves guild, like you said, always comes up, and so it's the most well-known faction that exists, I think, in most D&D campaigns. Now, the fun thing is that you can have multiple thieves guilds within the same city if the city is large enough, or you can go into a smaller location and you have a single thieves guild, and it's that guild is the one that you have to approach if you're going to be doing thieving or of any kind within that location. So it creates a number of opportunities for any party that operates with a rogue that goes and engages in those types of activities. So, let's go ahead.
I was just going to say, and I know for most GMs, this was especially true for me as a young GM, and even today, I've never run a crime syndicate before, but I always like bringing reality to D&D, and so running a Thieves Guild has always kind of been this important aspect of, like, how do I make this realistic? How do I build a structure and have them engage in tasks that I've never done before, and bring this whole, adventure to life for my players? And that's always been kind of this mountain that I'm trying to overcome in running Thieves Guilds. What does that internal structure look like? What tasks can I actually give them, or what, missions can I give players when they're coming in and experiencing, a Thieves Guild from this underground perspective? What is the response of the city around them? How do I make, consequences realistic for them? And this can be very challenging if you as a GM, again, have never run a crime syndicate.
Right. So actually that's a good point. Crimes and punishment is a huge piece of this, and that's something that we're going to cover probably towards the end of the series, I think. But the first things that we're probably going to cover just to get stable footing is figuring out the type of guild you want to run. And we have 6 unique types of guilds. That is something that I use regularly in my campaigns. Whenever I set up a Thieves Guild, I determine the guild type so that I know what that guild specializes in. And one of those guilds, obviously, is the generic Thieves Guild, which is kind of the jack of all trades. And that's particularly expected when you're talking about a small town or a smaller location where they dabble in everything because there's nobody competing for that. It's kind of like the Walmart of Thieves Guilds, because they do everything that they can to bring in as much income, versus having a more specialized guild that does spying or assassinations or something. But that will be our next video, where we get into the specific types of guilds and what you can expect from those.
So in our upcoming videos, there's going to be a variety of different things that we are going to be exploring, and we're going to do our best to detail each one of these so that you can pull information out that's going to be useful for you as a GM. By no means do you need to feel like you need to utilize everything that we give you, because this is going to be information that is going to essentially run the full gamut of how to run this Thieves Guild. So we're going to be looking at leadership within the Thieves Guild at the different tier levels and how that looks like, how maybe information kind of passes by or is filtered through those different levels of leadership. We're going to be looking at how money is utilized and approached, how goods are transferred in and out of Thieves Guilds, what missions you may be utilizing in Thieves Guilds, what your resources look like, what your expenses look like, what the reach is for the Thieves Guild, and how far they can influence, the city or nearby regions. What am I missing, John?
Allies, so various connections that they might have throughout the city, throughout the region, or across lines. So you might have various guilds that are allied with each other, but they accomplish different tasks. So you have one guild that's an assassination guild, and another guild that's a spy guild, and they don't necessarily operate against one another. They operate in cohesion with one another because they share information back and forth and make use of the specialization of the other guild. Or you might have blackmailed individuals throughout the city so that you're getting information from them, or you're using them in order to accomplish specific goals as part of the guild. In addition to this, you're going to talk about loyalty of the various members, the benefits that members get by being a part of the guild, and I think visibility. So how aware is the government or the city or the region of the operation of this guild? Is the guild operating above board or below board? What are they doing in order to make sure that they're getting as much as possible in terms of income and benefits without exposing themselves unnecessarily to some kind of consequence from the city or from the officials?
So again, we're going to be looking at this bird's eye view of all this information you're going to want to consider when you're managing a Thieves Guild within your campaign, but also getting into some of the nitty-gritty details of how those interpersonal interactions look like, not only from the guild perspective, but also for what your character should be expecting from engagements with whatever guild you're running.
And I think by the time you're done with the series, you're either going to be able to pull out specific information if you just want to check a guild in the middle of your campaign, that it's a one-off and you can take as little information as you want, or it could be enough information for you to center an entire campaign around running a Thieves Guild where you've got a party full of various types of rogues and their affiliations with specific guilds or running multiple guilds within the city.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so you guys hit the subscribe button. This is a series you're going to want to be notified on as every video is coming out to stay informed about how to run these different types of guilds, Thieves Guilds specifically, and we will see you all in the next video.
Judge and Brew.